Welcome back to the Above Average podcast, where we've taken a month hiatus.
Yeah, season 2.
Season 2, effectively, after 4. Apparently, seasons are going to be 4 episodes.
Well, we had 6.
Yeah. So we filmed 2 episodes. They were great.
They were real good.
But I'll take the heat for them.
Well, the second one was technically my fault, I guess, because I didn't hit record, but I didn't know to hit record, so...
Well,
sure,
it
can be your fault.
It wasn't because you didn't hit record. It's because I made you a producer, and you couldn't have hit record.
Fine, it's your fault. It's fine.
So, yeah, both are mine. The other one was... apparently, I'm an idiot with cameras, so...
Yeah, that was a camera one.
The camera was not great.
Was so good, man. I don't know how we could ever replicate
it was so
that.
good.
That was like... It was firing.
Yeah, we're going to have to write down like the script from that one and kind of re-record it a little bit.
Yeah.
We have to enhance our acting skills and make it natural.
Real good.
So, say all that to say is we're back. I guess we'll talk a little bit about Will's trip to Portugal because we talked about that, what it was like so far. I think it was a weekend.
Friggin' thing, and then got deleted.
So, it was just my side, and that would have been weird if we'd have put it out to you guys. So, yeah. We're back. We're going to get back into our recording routine. More videos will be coming, shorts, everything like we were sending out before. But we just hadn't had fresh content to put out to you guys, and we didn't want to just force it. So from here on out, back to your regularly scheduled programming. That was a mouthful.
Yeah.
So, Will, I guess everybody's going to want to know, how was the trip? What did we learn? Life experiences.
Where to begin? So I guess I should say that I learned a lot about, well, maybe not, I didn't learn a lot about myself, but there's some things that are confirmed about myself that I already knew. The one thing that, because overall there was a lot of like unforeseen challenges that I really did not prepare for, and I didn't really prepare for this trip at all. I booked a flight, I booked, hotels, Airbnbs, but the in-between of all that stuff, like I didn't have anything planned, and so that's something that right away I think I wish I would have done earlier, because I told everybody when I was going over there that I was going to stay for like 3 months, potentially, because it was like, oh, I'm going over to Europe, I've never been there, I might as well stay as long as I can. What I underestimated greatly was how hard it would be being by myself, number one, but then also being in a country where the first language isn't English. But everyone over here told me that's been to Portugal, oh yeah, don't worry about it, everyone speaks English. Fucking liars. Because every other conversation I had, like there was no English being spoken. I went to dinner one night and the owner was my waiter and he spoke no English. And I mean, I know just enough to get myself like into the situation of like exchanging like a hello and then just sitting down and whatever. But I kind of asked him what he recommended, and I said it in Portuguese, and then he starts going off, thinking that I understand what he's saying, and I was just like, I don't know, man. And I was at a place that sold tapas, which is like small plates, and everything was like $5, and I'm like, I'm hungry, like I can eat, and like portions aren't big over there, and so I ordered 2 things, and so I got a burger and wings, and then 2 orders of fries. And I was like, this is fine. But like he was confused. Like I think that's what he was trying to explain to me.
Do you think his confusion was you're in Portugal and you order the most American thing you could find?
Dude, you'd be surprised like how like their food isn't really like that specific. Like it's not anything out of the ordinary. I mean, there's certain things like their main dish is called francesinha, which is like it's like a meat pie, and it's like a bunch of almost lunch meat stacked, and there's bread, and there's an egg on top, and there's this sauce, and the sauce is like what makes it what it is.
Sounds like a shepherd's pie.
Similar, yeah, and then it comes with fries too, and like that's a hearty ass meal right there. I mean, again, back to my point, it's like the being by yourself makes it tough, because like if you're with somebody that also doesn't speak like Portuguese or something, then it's like we're in this together. But I'm like by myself, and I met some people that kind of helped along the way with different things, and like people that were like local and stuff like that. But I had a lot of time like on my hands, like I was able to manage my clients no problem. I mean, the time difference did become a pain because I was 5 hours ahead, and so I never switched to their time zone, like in terms of waking up and going to sleep. Like I just stayed on Eastern time because I was like a week and a half in, and I knew I was probably going to come back at the end of the month, and I was like, I might as well just keep doing this because I don't want to come back and be waking up at 4 a.m. And so I just stayed. I was waking up at 12 every day, going to bed at like 2. And you know, my clients, I had clients texting me at like 10 at night, which was 5 for here, which like,
or me texting you at like 1 a.m. your
or
time.
that, yeah. So I mean, it's like, you know, it wasn't like, it was fine, but my Airbnb too, it was a nice Airbnb. The view was unreal, but just certain things about it weren't great. And like, this is very first world problems of me, but the shower, there was only hot water for 2 minutes. And so it said on the rules in the Airbnb, like, don't soap while the water's running. And I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Rub a dry ass soap bar on my body? Like, how am I supposed to do anything with that? So, I mean, I just took super fast showers. But the other issue was it was a small shower. So the shower head's on the back wall, and then the curtain is here. So it faces the curtain. And there's like 2 feet between the curtain and the shower head. So if you move out of the way, you just douse the whole bathroom. So the bathroom every day soaked. And so I had to like sort that out. No, they don't use dryers over there. Like, you just wash your clothes and you hang them up. So all my clothes were like super crusty, like all the time.
No fluff.
None. And which again, like, that's not that big of a deal. Like, I mean, that's just, they're saving energy. Like, that's fine. But then like it would rain. Like, it rained 2 nights and my clothes got soaked again. Like, after I just washed them. Just different things like that. And then outlets too. Holy shit. You know, outlets are obviously different. And I had an adapter that I left at home. And so my first day there, my MacBook dies, and I'm like panicking because I'm like, what do I do? You know, like, I need my MacBook. So I walked to this mall that was like about 25 minutes away, and I went into this store called Wharton, which is basically like their Best Buy. And the workers in there didn't speak English. And so I'm walking around, and I found an adapter that had a USB and a USB-C on it. Bought that. But the thing is like, I couldn't use the brick for the MacBook. So it took my Mac a day, like 24 hours to charge. And so then I was like, well, this isn't going to work. So then I found an Apple store. I go to the Apple store, and they're like going to sell me a European like brick for like 90 euros. It's like, I'd rather not do that. And then the guy was like, oh, wait, I might have one in the back. So then he found me an adapter, like a EU to US. And so then that saved me. But then I had to go buy another one when I was in Manchester because their plugs are different than the rest of Europe. So I had to buy one there to charge my MacBook again. So now I've got like 4 different adapters. So if you need one, if you ever go to Europe, I've got you. I don't think what else. Like, I mean, I walked a ton. That's an interesting point actually to bring up because you see this all the time. You know, like the influencer girls, like, go over to Italy for a week, and you're like, oh my god, the food's just so much better. I actually lost weight, and all I did was eat bread and drink wine. It's like, what you don't actually talk about there is the fact that you walk 12,000 steps a day. That's gonna put you in a deficit of like 500 calories every single day. I lost 8 pounds from when I left. Before I left, I was 174. I came back, weighed in 166, and I was eating, like, I drank a ton because that's all they do. I smoked 1 cig. Which is like terrible to say on a fitness podcast, but I was just there, and like, that's what they do. Like, I mean, you would be amazed. Like, I mean, I thought people smoked a lot here, like, still, like, even as it's like fading away from being like popular. Over there, it's just constant. And the crazy part is, on the cigarette packs, they literally put pictures of people with holes in their throat. Like, there's no branding. It's just a picture of someone in the hospital on a ventilator.
And people are just still getting out.
Yeah, people buy like it's nothing. Yeah, it's like it doesn't faze anybody.
Man.
But yeah, stupidest thing I think I've done. I mean, it's whatever. It's one, like, it's not going to kill me, but I did not see the appeal. Like, I was like, this is...
I'm slightly disappointed in you.
You know, and listen, I went a long time because, like, my friends, like, will smoke cigs and we go out and stuff, and I never touched it. I was just like, I don't, you know, it's never something that's appealed to me, and it still doesn't. Like, smoking anything really doesn't appeal to me because I don't like the way it feels. And, you know, it's confirmed that I was like, this shit's stupid. Like, I don't need to do this again. And so that was that. But, yeah, I mean, it's just everything's very different in all kinds of ways. But it also, like, really made me appreciate, like, you know, what we have access to in the United States. I feel like even in England, when I went to Manchester, like, it almost feels like they're just a little bit, like, a couple years behind us, like, not in like a bad way or anything, but there's just certain things, like, I just, like, maybe like technology wise,
in terms of creature comforts and
yeah, just stuff. Like, I always felt that way. Like, I like watched like Black Mirror, because Black Mirror's first few have you ever seen Black Mirror?
Nope.
You never seen it?
Nope.
Oh, dude, you gotta watch it. The first few seasons it was a BBC show, so it was based in England, and I remember watching, and it just looks old.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it kind of makes sense because like Portugal's been around for 800 years, England's been around longer than that, so it makes sense that it's old. It looks older than here.
Yeah.
But it's like almost off-putting a little bit for some reason. And you know, public transportation's awesome. Like I took the bus up to the beach. It was like $2.50. I mean, the walkability of it all was crazy. I mean, I constantly walk, but the hills are massive, brick roads, scuff the shit out of my shoes like every day, giant staircases. I mean, but the views, like I couldn't recommend going there enough. Like I mean, it was like living in a painting. Like the colors and everything, the river, like the sunsets, wild.
Love the visit. Happy to be home though.
Definitely. Yeah. I'm glad to be back in my routine and able to lift again. I never found a gym when I was over there.
Yeah. Well, you did do CrossFit.
Did CrossFit one day, and the reason that I chose CrossFit was because every time I've been to a CrossFit gym, it's usually a pretty like communal experience. Like it's like people are like happy to have you. Like, you know, you're a new face. Like, you know, no one talked to me. Nobody. Like I talked to the coach. He translated. He did the entire demo, everything warm up in Portuguese, and he would translate it to me. Like, I mean, I was watching so I could figure out what was going on. And I knew what the workout was because they posted it on their Instagram the day before.
Well, that's cool. At least he was...
Yeah, like, I mean, he, you know, acknowledged that I was, like, didn't know what he was saying. But then there was probably 15 people in the class. And the crazy part is, like, the music, they listen to American music. Like, it's all... Everywhere you go, The Weeknd, Ariana Grande is playing. In the CrossFit gym, they're listening to Linkin Park. And all the people were singing all the words. But they won't talk to me in English. And I was like, what's going on? And I kind of just kept to myself. Like I didn't really like go out of my way because that's the other thing. I always found it was it's like awkward because I found myself almost straying away from wanting to get into conversation on the off chance that someone didn't speak English because then I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like I feel bad because I can't speak to them because it feels like it's on me. You know, like I'm in their country. Like I should be able to communicate. Like I shouldn't expect them to be able to talk to me. Yeah. You know, but still, like most people, I don't know, I'd say like 60% of people like were pretty reasonably conversational in English.
France sucked.
Oh my God. I feel like I probably was there on a bad day, but man, I also, I don't think it's fair, maybe, because I traveled like 18 hours overnight. And then it took 2 hours to get from the airport in France to my hotel in the 3rd arrondissement, which means district. And I had this giant ass duffel bag. It was like 55 pounds. And I get to the hotel and they're like, it was like 11. And they're like, oh, your room's not going to be ready till 3. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? And so I just walked around for, you know, because it's like, what else would you do? I went and got food. And like that was also my first entrance into like being foreign anywhere.
Yeah.
And so I'm like trying to figure out my phone. I'm trying to figure out Wi-Fi and
all types of frustrating.
All the stuff. Yeah. And like, you know, with the plugs and dealing with euros and everything like that. And, you know, I went to a cafe and I mean, it was weird. Like some people, like they are standoffish. Like they're not like willing to just converse, which like me, I was like craving social interaction. I was like, somebody fucking talk to me. And no one even looks at you. And then at the cafe, this guy actually let me use his hotspot, like the waiter, like his own personal hotspot, which was very nice.
Dope.
And after that, I walked around for hours. I saw like the cathedral that caught on fire a couple years ago. A couple other things. I mean, but the crazy part is like I was there at a time where there was like civil unrest because they were trying to increase the retirement age by 2 years. And then the sanitation workers went on strike. And so the one thing I noticed right away is there's mountains of trash in the streets. And I just thought, I was like, you know, France is a big city. They must have a lot of trash on trash days, you know? And then I started to figure it out that they just weren't collecting it. And then at night, they were burning it. So I was going to walk to the Eiffel Tower that night. And it was a 50-minute walk from my hotel. I turned on the TV and there's like a giant protest and just mountains of trash on fire. And I was like, maybe I'll save it. I'm not going to go.
I think that's a smart choice.
Yeah. And so then the next day, another hour ride back to the airport. the airport in Paris, Charles de Gaulle, is a nightmare. Like, massive, massive airport, like 6 terminals. And I got this giant bag, and I'm like, I'm not in the right place. Like, my Uber driver took me to the wrong terminal, and I think it had the wrong terminal on my boarding pass. And so I'm asking people like, hey, like, where should I go? And they're like, oh yeah, you go this way, take a shuttle this way. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know, like, what are you talking about? And then I finally figured out that I needed to take a bus to the other terminal. Like, it would have taken me 30 minutes to walk to this terminal. I don't even know if I would have been able to get there. I would have been on the highway. And so I make it there, and then I don't have a seat on the plane. Like, it was overbooked. So I booked the ticket months ago, but it never let me choose my seat, which I didn't know that meant it was overbooked forever. And then the guy found me a seat, luckily, and then
put you in a jump seat.
it wasn't bad. I don't remember what one it was, but it was fine. It was a fine flight over. And then just like the second I got to Portugal, like the way that people are just changed drastically. Like my Uber drivers throughout the entire trip were some of the coolest people I've ever met.
That's
like
awesome.
Very nice people. Every single one, like I just like it was such a specific experience. Like the one guy, I told this story on the one that didn't get recorded, but I met the bachelorette party.
Oh,
right?
that's right.
So I met them in the airport in Charles de Gaulle, and because they were also as confused as I was, because they didn't know where they were going to catch the flight to Porto, and I was just like, I heard American English, and I was just like, I should talk to these people. And so then, we were on the same flight, and then that kind of like I stood there with them for a bit, and we talked whatever, but like I didn't think I'd ever see them again. And then I was walking through the city, and I saw it was like I saw one of the girls walking up by herself, and like we both kind of took a double take, and she was like, hey, like, you're the dude from the airport. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm just going to the mall. Like, that was when I was going to get the adapter. And then she's like, oh, the rest of the girls are down there. And so I walked down the hill, and I ran into all of them, and they were like, oh, you should come hang out with us, whatever. So I went to the mall, and then that night I met up with them, and we went out to a bar and stuff. And I don't remember what my point was. This story.
It's just my point of asking you that, because when you told me via text message, when it happened, is like, you'll trip and shit and come out smelling like a rose.
I mean, yes and no. Like, there were definitely times where that felt like the case during this trip. Then there were other times where I was like, this shit is tough. It was, because I mean, I don't want to say you run out of things to do, because you can find things to do, but everything requires walking really far or just like going to a restaurant. And like, I was spending money every single day, because they don't grocery shop like we do here, where you're going to Sam's Club and buying for a month at a time. Like, it's like you go to this little grocery store that's like a convenience store, and they don't have like I focus on protein sources. Like, I get like those vacuum sealed packs of tuna and like eggs and whatever else, and like they don't have that stuff. Like, it's just not a thing. And so I mean, when I cooked food, I lived off of like rice and like cans of tuna, and then I made pasta, and I didn't have anything else. And so this is wild that I did this. I made pasta and I didn't have anything to put on it, but I had mayo. So I put mayo and salt on it just to give it like a little bit, like it was almost like buttery. Honestly, not terrible. It wasn't that bad, but I need to eat it because I had it. So that's it sounds like, like it's
Sounds fucking terrible.
It wasn't that bad. You just go a little bit of mayo, just a little bit. I don't know how you feel about mayo. I like mayo a lot.
I mean, I enjoy it. Like, I'll mix it with tuna, or I'll put it on an egg sandwich, or like I'll put it on sandwiches. That kind of stuff I like. But on pasta,
it was fine.
And you're kind of close to the motherland of pasta, Italy.
Yeah, it's not that close actually. It's like probably.
I mean, you're closer than me.
For sure,
at that point.
It's probably like 4 hours away.
Okay, 4 hours. Yeah. In 4 hours, I could be in Columbus.
Right,
not
that's
Italy.
The stupid thing, yeah. But that's another thing too about planning it, because I thought that I would make Porto like home base and then just kind of bounce around from there, which that gets exhausting. Like, no matter what you're doing, even going to Manchester for the weekend, it's like you're still traveling. Uber to the airport, go through security, you're waiting for hours because you have to get there early, then you're on the flight, then you got to figure out how to get to Manchester. So I took the train, and then like it's still a lot checking into the hotel, figuring out where you are, and I mean it's not easy to do. But with their airlines over there, EasyJet and Ryanair, like the flights are very cheap, but nothing is cheap when you're booking it a week out from when you're going. So I should have planned more like weekend type trips like that way ahead of time, because if you do it right, you can get a flight to, I don't know, like Barcelona for $25 round trip, but within 2 days it's gonna be like $150. And I was just like, I really just don't like it was. I mean, I spent a ton of money. Like it was just constant spending money, and that starts to eat at me after a certain point.
Yeah,
where I'm just like, I'm sick of doing that.
When you told me you were going, and I was trying to figure out like, what are you doing, like, what's your point, that kind of stuff, and you were just like, figure it out.
That's really what it was. Yeah,
and like I was like, that would drive me nuts.
Yeah, it's I guess the one thing that was confirmed about myself, because I had, back when I was in college, my last year of college, the last semester, I took like 4 classes, and they were all at 4 o'clock, like Monday through Thursday. And so it was tough to, like, I didn't have a job. Like, I did some coaching on the weekends, like a couple private sessions, but I didn't do anything. Like, I mean, my classes were super easy. Like, I was an education major, so I was like just drawing pictures and shit. But I had so much time just to do nothing. And like, that sounds nice in a certain context.
In a vacuum.
Yeah, but I'm like a very like purpose-driven person. And I realized that about myself then, and now like I just reconfirmed it for myself, because even though I still had the business, I still had things to do, I was writing programs, I was checking in with my clients and stuff, it still didn't take, like, I still had a lot of time left in the day to do stuff. And so I'm like, I feel like I need to be making things, like I need to do some shit, you know? And the one thing about the Portuguese people that they're able to do, and I think this is Europe in general, is like they're able to just be and like be
in the moment.
Yeah, just go to a restaurant and just chill and not have to think about being productive. Where like I feel like I always have to feel like I'm being productive. And at restaurants over there, like there's no limit as to like how long you can stay. You know, like I went to a restaurant.
They're not trying to flip tables.
No, not at all. I went to a restaurant on the Strip, and it literally said at the top like 2-hour time limit. But over there, you could sit for hours and like you just chill, and like the waiter doesn't even bother you. Like they'll come over one time, you order what you want, and then they leave, and then you might not see them again. Like you have to flag them down. Whatever. People just smoke, drink.
Whatever. Smoking in the restaurants?
No, not inside. It was always out. I mean, there was a lot of outdoor seating.
That
like,
would
down by
drive
the
me
river
nuts.
and stuff. But in Manchester at the City Liverpool game, you can't drink at your seat. Like you can only drink in the concourse. And so like it was like 12 o'clock, and I was like, oh, I'll just do what everybody else does. And I just went and got a beer, and then I wanted to go out and watch warm-ups, and they were like, no. And I was like, oh, it must not be open yet. And then I look at the sign to my left, and it says no alcohol at your seat, and which is like very different than here. And then, you know, I don't know if you know this, but like at Premier League games, there's like a specific section for the away supporters, and it's lined with police because
it gets rowdy. I know that. Yeah.
But I was sitting next to a guy who was a season ticket holder. He was like in his 50s, 60s, and he sits there all the time. And we were just talking. He said his son lives in Philadelphia, and he was telling me, like I was telling him, like, you know, Steeler games, you can be sitting next to like Ravens fans. Like there's no division at all. But then so at halftime, I go to the bathroom, and the bathroom is just straight cig smoke. Like everyone's smoking cigs in the bathroom. And like that's another thing where it's like that seems ridiculous, but it would never happen here. Like you can't, like there's smoking sections, I think, outside of PNC Park and Heinz Field, but you can also drink at your seat, you know, which I think not being able to drink at your seat seems a bit ridiculous. And it's just like there's certain extremes where it's like, that's crazy, but then our version of it is very like restricted, and then it just seems flipped.
Yeah, and drinking at your seat, if they were to come here, would probably be the same kind of feeling.
Yeah. I get like maybe like people throw stuff or whatever, but I mean,
well, how many games have you seen where they're throwing bottles onto the field at referees or cups?
Yeah, like it happens.
Yeah.
But I don't see that.
And that's probably why, because as rowdy as those games get in some of the Premier League games.
Seen, like, I was next to the away section, and Liverpool scored first, and so they went up 1-0, and this is at the Etihad, which is Man City's home stadium.
I was going to say, this is Liverpool, Man City.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and so then City scored 4 straight after that. And the City fans are just, like it was relentless. Like, because, I mean, we're right next to them.
Why would you even want to go? As in away?
Oh, I know. Yeah. I don't know. And, like, I mean, there was a lot of people. I mean, they were pretty loud. And it's said in the Premier League that the Etihad is like, they call it the library because it's quiet because the fans don't chant. I mean, I have nothing to compare it to, but it wasn't quiet by any means. Liverpool fans were still pretty loud after they scored and stuff. But then, like, I was just watching the banter back and forth between the City and Liverpool fans, and like these people were so mad. Like I've never like it's a good thing that divider was there. And then like you see the police too, like they're just also looking back and forth, like watching the interactions, and like they're just laughing at people. And like I mean it would be if that wasn't there, like it's a brawl. Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
But here, you know, if that kind of stuff happens, it's like, oh, you might get shot or something.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not you can't really be as aggressive.
And there's like, you know, you see those videos, there's a couple fights in an NFL game or whatever, some nonsense happens.
There's always one of this,
but this would be like an all-out riot.
Yeah.
If they were able to let that.
No, it does happen every now and then. Like in Germany and like Turkey, like there's always like big like brawls and stuff at games.
Like cancel games and stuff. Yeah.
Which I mean, I get it. But
so trying to kind of go backwards in the conversation a little bit. You mentioned about how you lost weight there. Do you feel like any of that was muscle because you weren't able to work out?
Maybe a little bit. Yeah. I still did some stuff, and I think it's not so much working out or not being able to work out is what caused the muscle loss, but it's probably just my lack of protein intake. Like I still tried my hardest to get, like I bought protein powder. It's another way of roughing it here. Like I didn't want to buy a shaker bottle because I was like, I'm not gonna be able to bring it home, and I already have one at home. Like I'm just like, why do I need one for 30 days?
Why can't you bring a shaker bottle home?
My bag was overweight.
Oh.
Like I just could not bring extra things home. And so what I did is I went and bought a Powerade with like the like a little pop top on it, and I just kept the bottle, and I would just put protein in there, and that was like my shaker bottle. And it got tough to clean because it was like the powder was coming through the thing.
Oh yeah, I get caked up.
Yeah, and so I mean I did that. Like I drank those like every day, and then, you know, I don't know. I think the walking definitely prevented. I don't know, because I also didn't eat that much. You know, like I ate probably twice a day. And like their portions aren't huge. I will say the last day I was there, I balled out. I found this sandwich place, like it was amazing. Like so I got like their beer is Super Bock, and honestly, it's probably my favorite beer that I've ever had. And there's very few locations in the United States that sell it. Like it's not a big export, I guess. And so I got like a pint of that, and then they bring out like you can get like smoked meats and cheese with bread, like homemade bread, and it comes with olive oil. So I get all that, smashing that. Like I ate the whole thing, and then I got a sandwich, and it was like a chicken steak with ham and cheese on it, and then the same bread. Got that, another pint, and that was like 15 euros.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Super cheap.
Yeah. And, but I mean, I would have meals like that where I'd be like, all right, I feel like I'm eating a ton. Like, I mean, I went to McDonald's 6 times when I was there. Because there was one there was a big staircase. I went down there, and I'm like, I'm getting a Big Mac because I'm hungry. I don't feel like doing anything else. Because being there as long as I was, I never felt rushed to where I had to go do stuff. You know, like I ran into people that were there for the weekend. They're like, oh, I want to walk around all day long. And I'm like, I got a month. Like, I can take my time here. Yeah, like I don't need to go see all the stuff in the first week. And so I did. There were days where there were some days I just chilled at my Airbnb. Like I'm like, I don't need to go out.
Well, I mean, you had that view was dope, and I'll put it in this behind us.
Yeah.
Because we're filming on a green screen right now, although it may not be green during this video.
Yeah.
But we'll throw some views up behind us as we're talking.
Yeah, that view was unreal. I mean, like the sunsets from back there were awesome. There was also, so up the hill from my Airbnb, there was a grass area with like a fence, and then it had the same view, like that same overlook over to the river. And every night, that place would just fill up with people because there's no, like it's just open carry. Like you can just, you know, buy a beer and walk around the city if you want.
Oh, you said open carry? I went pistol.
Oh, no, there's no guns in Portugal.
Firearm.
No guns in Portugal.
That's what I thought. And then you were like open carry.
I don't even think the police have guns in Portugal.
Did not go beer.
Yeah, so there's like there was a row of like, there's like bar, restaurant, and then there's a convenience store where I bought all my stuff from, and like a bottle of beer is €1. And you could buy, like people were buying 40s of it, and so everyone goes in there and then they just buy like, you know, bags of chips or whatever, and then they just go sit outside and watch the sunset. Like that's like every single night. And like people are outside smoking, whatever. There's like music playing, and that's every night. And there were areas like that all over the city where people would go and just like sit and watch sunsets and stuff. And it was super cool, like right up my alley. Like I love that type of shit. But yeah, like you said, like it's the views and like what my Airbnb had. Like I spent a lot of time just sitting out there because it's like I don't need to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So, talking about trying to just kind of like how you worked fitness into that and like some of the struggles you had over there kind of go along with what I guess I've been dealing with. And you and I had some back and forth
Yeah.
on
Yeah, we did.
my mental struggle with where I am. Yeah. Basically being a little girl about it. So like I've hit a wall from a weight loss standpoint. And just kind of like get your take in not so many words of how you advise people, your clients, me, on like when you hit that wall or that plateau in your, whether it's weight loss, you're trying to bulk up, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I lost the 35. You guys have heard it a bunch. But my gains at the gym have slowed.
Yeah.
They've not come to a halt. Like I'm still getting stronger, but like I was getting frustrated because the scale wasn't changing.
Yeah.
And, I have certain goals that I want to hit and they're like not coming as fast as they were when I, the first 3 months I was into it. So like you and I had some conversation back and forth. I think we should kind of share what that conversation looks like, as well as like, honestly,
throw it up right here.
Yeah. Throw the text messages up here. But like what that, how you work with your clients around hitting that wall.
Yeah, so it's the thing is,
and his feedback to me is going to be different than what he gives to clients.
Yeah,
We have a different relationship.
Absolutely different. The thing is, like everything kind of operates on a cycle, and because the way I think about it is like it's almost like a rut, like if you're doing the same thing for a long time, like you're just digging deeper and deeper into these ruts, and then you end up getting stuck. And so I always look at things kind of like at 6 months at a time. So, I mean, the way that I've done things for a while now, and like this is not a super structured way, but the way I look at it is like I get to this point in time and it's, summer's coming. Like I try to, spend more time running with my shirt off and doing like more and more activity and maybe eating a little bit less because I like, looking shredded for the summer because I'm going to walk around my shirt off all the time. And then so as we get into the winter, I'm like, all right, I'm going to eat more. Probably going to spend less time running and I'm going to lift heavy. Like I lift heavy all the time, but it almost kind of looks like a cutting and a bulking cycle, And that's literally every year. Like I do it every single year. It's always like wintertime. I'm going to eat as much as I can. And then I get around to this point and it's like, okay, now I'm going to start trying to do less of that, eat more fruit, smoothies, and then just run more and all that stuff. And so it's kind of just like a loose framework. Now, when it comes to like your position, like you lose 35 pounds, like that's a significant amount of weight. Like it's not like that. I mean, that's like the dream for people, like people are always like people lose 7 pounds and they're stoked. 35, significant, And so, but you can only lose weight for so long. And there is, I believe, a little bit of like metabolic change there. Like, I mean, if you're continuing to lose weight, like it's been said that your metabolic rate will dip slightly because your body becomes aware that you're getting in less food. And that goes back to like caveman type shit because like back then, you'd adapt to having less, there being scarcity. So your body has to keep you alive. And so it conserves energy. Now, a big point is that your body's not always going to be the same as it was. Like there's stages of it all. And so, for example, like in your position where you went from losing, what'd you start at? You were at like
220.
220? So 220 down to 185. When you're at 220, like your body fat percentage was definitely way higher than it is now. But then you also probably had less muscle then. So now you're down at 185, you have much less body fat, and you've probably almost absolutely built a pretty significant amount of muscle in that switch. Muscle has mass, it has to weigh something. So when the scale starts to level out, that doesn't necessarily mean, because body fat should be the most important thing. Like the number on the scale doesn't mean shit I wish it was easier to measure body fat, but it's just not, because we just don't have that technology readily available. Yeah. But like, I mean, if I said to somebody, if I could drop your body fat by 10%, but the scale wouldn't change, would you be okay with it? And they would say, yeah. But people equate body fat with what's on the scale, and that's just not what's going on. There's so many more things. Like your body has water that weighs something, bones weigh something, your organs weigh something. That stuff's never going to go away, you know. And so when you get down to this point of like significant loss, and then maybe you start, like you said, you're like losing a little bit of strength or like feeling really tired, that's when it's time to kind of take a break from trying to just lose all the time. Because again, you're gonna hit a point where you're just gonna stop. Like, you're not gonna be able to lose anymore until you put on some more muscle. And that's almost like, it goes to that structure that I was talking about. Like, it's like you can lose, and then it's like, okay, maybe it's time to go back up in calories a little bit, maybe just do maintenance. That's what's called a diet break, or even focus on building muscle, because then your body's gonna look different. You know, like and that's the hard thing I think for people to grasp, is like, when you spent so much time losing weight, and then you hear, okay, now it's time to eat more again. They're like, oh, well, no, I just came from there. I don't want to go back to what I just was. It's like, well, it's not the same thing. You know, like, if you were to get yourself up to, say, 220, for example, you probably, you know, I should say 220 with that level of body fat, not lifting, not working out, not eating right, that's going to get you to there. But if you then lose weight and then consistently lift, and then stay consistently lifting, and then eat well, and even if you went back up to, say, 200 from this point, it's not going to look the same as it did on the way down at 200 as it does on the way up at 200, because you're going to have more muscle, you're going to have more definition, and your body's just going to change. I mean, like, I look at myself, like, I used to have the same thing when I was in college. Like, I got super shredded when I was a junior. I was like 8% body fat. I was weighing like 152 pounds. Like, it was like the lightest I've ever been. And it was really hard for me to kind of flip the script, because I was like, I just like being shredded. You know, I don't really want to lose this, but I also want to get stronger. Like, that was my big thing. It was like my numbers weren't moving. And I was like, I want to deadlift 400 at some point, but I can't do it without eating. And so now, I mean, I'm up probably 166, 170 at this point. And like, I weigh consistently across this year the most that I ever have, but it's not a bad gain. Like, I'm a thick boy these days, you know, and that's because I don't play soccer anymore. Like, I focus on lifting. And so it's a different type of body type almost.
Yeah.
And you just have to, it's tough. I get it, but it's something that you just have to be okay with.
Well, I think what's important too, is, you know, when you go back to eating it, like somebody like me was, where food is, like, it's an addiction. Yeah. So, and I hate to throw it in that sense, but it is. So, like, my fear of eating more, and allowing more calories back into my diet, whether it's maintenance or not, is like an addict, that I would overdo it, right? Yeah. Because it's like giving somebody that's a recovering alcoholic a can of beer. So sure. That's the fear, and I think that's the fear with a lot of people. And then the other thing is, when you go back to adding those calories in, and it's something I'm struggling with now, it's putting the right calories in. So it's not that you necessarily go back to eating pizza and cheeseburgers. It's, if you're going to add calories, let's add some more chicken, or add some more vegetables, like add the right calories in. It's okay. Like, all things in moderation. My stomach is making some weird flipping noises. I'm not sure if the mic's picking it up, but like to that point, like, I had, for those of you local, I had Get Go, which is a Wawa of our area. Or I had that last night, and because my son got off baseball and it was late, and I needed something to eat, and it's right now it's literally talking about
in there. Yeah.
But aside from that, but putting the right calories in. Don't go to your local gas station and get food at 10 o'clock at night. Yeah. But it's okay. You'll have those times. Yeah. But I think the bigger thing here to take away is, like, the struggle is more of from an addict sense. Yeah. If you don't want to go back down that rabbit hole, and you're so afraid to let any additional calories back in, especially when you've been on the journey that I've been on.
Sure. And that's a tough one, because I don't even know what to tell you on that, because that's almost outside my scope of practice. You know, sure. Like, because, and I've, like, there is a level of coaching where that is involved. But I mean, like I try to tell people all the time, like don't get neurotic about this, because this is a long game. You're gonna have ups and downs, but what matters is like where's your average at? Like what's your rolling average?
I think what people have to take away, and this is where it differs from somebody that was like you called yourself skinny fat back in high school in one of the podcasts or whatever, but like you've never been like me in that sense.
No, I was never like overweight, like I guess, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm technically considered overweight right now.
So, but like what I'm getting at is you're from a sense of a coaching standpoint, somebody that's relatively been healthy for a long period of time. So where I can share from somebody that was been on the journey, and what I'm starting to figure out now is that like I'm figuring out my body in that sense. So you're gonna have to experiment.
No, yeah, absolutely.
You're gonna have to figure out like what makes you gain fat or what makes you gain weight, or what do you eat and you feel best after you work out. Like you have to listen to your body along that way. There's going to be times where you feel like absolute dog shit at the gym. Okay. Yeah. Well, then reflect. What did you eat? What did you put into your body? What did you do? How did you sleep? All those kind of things. You have to listen. And if you're not paying attention to that, you're just going to get frustrated and go right back to where you were.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, listen to your body. There's people that like, oh, I'm hungry, but I can't eat anymore. I'm like, fuck that. Like, just eat. Like your body tells you to eat for a reason. I mean, I found myself
But give yourself time. Like, eat something and give your body time to tell your brain that it's full.
Yes, that's a good strategy. I mean, that's it. I'm a fast eater, so I can put away food, man. Like it's like no problem. But if you slow yourself down, you're gonna find yourself fuller faster, and then you're gonna eat less. I mean, that's a general like dieting like tip.
Yeah.
But what the hell was I saying? I don't remember what I was saying.
Just about eating. Like if your body's telling you you're hungry.
Oh, yeah. So no, I found like in the summertime, like I was saying, there have been times where I've been trying to eat less, but if I'm doing like 2 workouts a day and I feel like I've already eaten like the right amount for the day and I'm still hungry, I'm like, well, I'm going to eat because like, obviously your body food is recovery, like it's not like, you have to eat to keep yourself going, and I think that is more often than not, you see people develop this relationship with food to where it's like, it's the enemy, but like you need food. And so if you look at it instead of, oh, this is gonna, cause me to gain weight or whatever, if you look at food as fuel, as like you are giving your body what it needs to perform. I'm not like performance doesn't necessarily mean like a sport or anything, but just to
get through the day.
Yeah, get through the day and be what it needs to be for you to like enjoy your life. That's a change in the mindset that can be really helpful.
Yeah. I know for me, like I've started to learn that like if I finish working out and I feel like shit, like I take stock of what I put in my body before, how I recovered the day before from my last workout, and see what I can change. Usually when I have a good workout and I leave the gym, I'm amped. Yeah. Like I'm ready to go tackle a bunch of different tasks.
Yeah,
like
I know that feeling.
So when I feel like that, I also take stock of like, what did I do? How did I recover? All those things so I could try to replicate it. Yeah. And I'm not always successful. There's good days, there's bad days, but like make sure you take stock of what you're doing. And the biggest thing is recovery. Like if you're not allowing your body to recover, then you're doing this all for naught. Yeah. You got to get sleep is number one. Sleep is more important than anything, in my opinion. And it wasn't until I started this journey that I really understood what that looked like. Yeah. And I was watching it from my wife's standpoint, who generally is a shitty sleeper. And then as she's started to progress as well in her journey, that's improved. There's other things, at play in both of our situations, but for the most part, sleep is paramount. The other thing is, Andrew Huberman, if you guys have not,
he's a dog.
Yeah, if you've not listened to his podcasts and different things around fitness, health, and different things, I definitely recommend checking that out. But one of the things that he talks about, and I've heard talked about on other podcasts and different things, is getting sunlight.
Yes.
Getting natural sunlight
that can mess you up if you don't get it.
Is a game changer. And that's even if it's cloudy out. Like and especially early sunlight. Like I've tried it and I've been doing it with some consistency, and I've noticed a general demeanor
dude,
change.
It's so crazy because it seems so simple. But like when I was in college, my sophomore year, we lived in this like absolute shithole, and like I was like straight. I mean, it was rough, man. Like I lived with like 5 teammates, and it was terrible. I like living condition wise was bad, and like I was miserable, and I would just like come home and just sit in my bed. Like I did not get outside, and it was a rough winter at the time. Definitely wasn't getting enough sunlight, and it is wild how much that can affect you, because you feel like there's nothing you can do about it, but then second you start getting outside in that sunlight, like it changes you.
Well, and if there's been studies done like up in Alaska where they have the, was it 24 hours of darkness or whatever it is. I'm an idiot.
It's somewhere up north.
But whatever time frame it is, they get no sunlight, or it's constantly daytime.
Yeah.
But during that period, their suicide rates spike.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Terrifying.
So, and it's like they attribute that to somewhat of lack of sunlight and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, you got to get those natural vitamins from the sun. They also talk about, and a couple different things that I've been following, getting vitamins and supplements in their most basic natural form. And what I mean by that is from food, but also, if you want to take vitamin D, don't try to find a supplement that has vitamin D in it. Take a vitamin D vitamin.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So take where it's only that's the supplement you're looking for is the supplement that you're taking, if that makes sense. So
I take vitamin D.
Take vitamin D. If you want magnesium, take magnesium. Those kind of things. Don't try to find a supplement that has vitamin D, magnesium, zinc.
One a day.
Yeah. Those, while those may be somewhat beneficial, and I'm sure they are in some regards, you don't know what else you're getting, I guess is the bare bones of it.
Yeah. I want to go back. I have 2 things. Talking about leaving the gym and like feeling great.
Yeah.
I still to this day think that PRing a lift is one of the biggest hits of dopamine that you can get like in life. I remember back, it was in college between my sophomore and my junior year. It was summertime. We were in the weight room, and there was this one day in the program where we would do cleans and then back squats. Like that was the first 2 compound lifts, and it was a max out day. I think it was probably a Friday. We used to call it Fuck Yeah Friday. And so I PR'd my clean at like 242.
I feel like there's a merch coming. Some merch. Fuck Yeah Friday.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah,
I like it.
You're right.
Like
but so I PR'd my clean at 242, and then I went over to the back squat and PR'd it at like, I don't know, 330 or something like that. And like those 2 things right there, like it was like, I'm like high as shit. Like I feel fantastic. I also happened to be like dating a new girl at the time. And I drove home. So I was living in North Versailles at the time. I drove home from Oakland, and like Panic at the Disco dropped their Death of a Bachelor album.
Yeah.
And like there's some fucking hits on that album. And so I'm like listening to the same song whole way through. And it was just like, there's random ass moments in my life that I remember like that, where it's like, you're not going to forget that, because it was just like you feel fucking invincible. And being in the gym, and because the thing is like when you're in the gym like that, when you're completing a plan and just checking off boxes and shit, like that's a little hit. That's a little hit every time. And so it's a good way to start. Like you just start some momentum on the day, because you're already accomplishing things, and then you're able to like kind of get that snowball rolling. And
that's
so I mean,
100% facts.
Yeah. And I mean, sure, there's gonna be shit days in the gym. Like I've had days where I'm like maybe my knee hurts and I can't do anything, and then that can be the opposite, where like it fucks your whole day up. But if you find a way to just like create like little accomplishments out of it, like you're gonna be flying.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to do every day.
Yeah, I'd rather have a shitty day at the gym than not be there.
Yeah. For sure, because then at least it feels like you
did something,
made an effort. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to say though is like you should looking to get one of these bad boys.
Yeah, I'm struggling with dropping $300 on it.
I got a discount thing. It's like $40, but it's $300. It's actually $350 for the ring, but then you pay $6 a month after.
Yeah, because I'd wear it as a wedding band.
Yeah, our the director of sports science at Pitt, he wears like his ring as his wedding ring, and I looked at, since I've been home, my scores have been like super high. Like my sleep scores in the 90s, which like I'd never even hit until I came back home. Recovery wise, I mean, I've worked out all week and my resting heart rate's still like at 44 overnight. Like it's like very insight. Like, I mean, you're just
How often do you have to charge it?
once a week.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like every 7 days. And I charged it this morning. Actually, it took 10 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah, it's super fast. But like you talking about like taking stock of like what you're doing, like this is a great, like I was like
skeptical,
a little bit like cautiously skeptical about it because there's all these wearables now, like the Apple Watch and everything. The Apple Watch isn't as accurate as this is, and this probably isn't even 100% accurate either, but it's more accurate. It's probably the most accurate thing you could get. So, but that being said, when my scores aren't high, I feel like it checks out. Like I'm like, I feel like shit today, and then I go look, and it's like, okay, yeah, like it's also picking up on that.
So I'll drop my Venmo back here. My birthday's coming up in June, so
get Marky D and Oral.
So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I should look into getting one of those because I've been wanting to get one, specifically that since you've gotten it.
Yeah.
And I've heard other things. You know, they have the Whoops and different things like that. But I've heard that those are.
I mean, Whoop is good too. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, they both focus on different things. I think Whoop's main thing is strain.
Recovery too.
Yeah, it's like the HRV and stuff, which this has.
Mm-hmm.
But this also, I think the sleep aspect of this is better than Whoop.
Yeah.
But with Whoop, the reasoning behind me choosing this over that is Whoop costs, like the band is free, but it's $30 a month for the subscription. Mm-hmm. So in the long term, you're paying more for Whoop than you are for this. So you pay $360 right away, and then it's $6 every month after that.
Mm.
So over time, Whoop becomes more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it's a conversation piece. Like I was at that fitness fair yesterday, and like I just started, like people were like, oh, is that an Oura ring? And I was like, yeah. And I just started talking to people. Like it's happened to me a bunch of times now where people have like scoped it out, which I don't know, maybe it's weird seeing a dude wearing a ring on his index finger, but
I mean, is it?
I don't know.
Weird. It's not that weird these days.
I don't know. And a lot of people that wear, my one friend Grant used to wear a pinky ring. Fucking douchebag.
Oh my God, that's such a douchebag move. If you have a pinky ring, I'm sorry. Like that.
He's never gonna see
as
this.
As soon as I hear that, I think of the 50 Cent song. My pinky ring talk, it's a 50, I'm sick. You never heard that song?
So.
Oh my God.
I was never a big 50 Cent guy.
Sorry. Maybe we might have to cut that. I'm not a rapper.
Nah, keep it in there.
I did the whole head nod and everything.
Yeah, you did that before.
Melissa from McKeesport, shouts out.
Shout out.
But yeah, so I think it'd probably be a worthwhile investment.
I think so. I really enjoy it. The only beef I have with it is that you can't lift with it on, because like, you know,
my wedding ring gets in the and this is just a rubber wedding ring.
I was gonna say, do you wear that when you lift?
Yeah.
But it's rubber.
Yeah.
So like you can't
more it up or
no, but also you ever seen like those like crazy ass injuries where people like lose all the skin on their finger from their ring?
I've heard about them. I've never seen it, but like again, this like just stretches.
Yeah.
And
well, that's like they sell like silicone.
When I started wearing this, that's what it is, silicone. But when I started wearing this, I was heavier.
Yeah. So
it's stretched out to where it just slides off. So that's why I couldn't wear my other wedding band. Is once I started losing weight, like it's titanium. Yeah. It would just fall off.
See, this with like the knurling on the bar would get all messed up, and like so I just take it off.
It's probably because it's on your index finger too.
Yeah, well, they recommend wearing it on your index finger. Like you can do middle or ring, but they recommend the index finger because like the vein, I guess, is the artery or whatever the fuck, like wherever the heart.
Yeah, I can't wear 2 rings.
Yeah, you have to go on the other hand. I would. I mean, if it was like that situation, like I probably wouldn't wear 2 either. But people wear it on their thumb too, which is insane.
I
don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
But I take it off before I lift, and then the thing is you don't get to track that workout.
I just do it through my Apple Watch.
But
because that's where I track all
right
from.
But then after you put the ring back on, like if you put on right after, it's gonna notice your heart rate is elevated because it takes time for your heart rate to come back down after you work out, no matter what. Like it's like an hour, so it's not gonna necessarily see that gap and say, oh, you must have worked out. But I mean, everything is your heart rate. Like your heart rate's directly tied into recovery and sleep and all that stuff, and so it's going to notice your heart rate was higher, and then it's going to factor that into your recovery score.
Yeah, and I think the important thing to take away from this conversation around wearables is just track your shit.
Yeah. Track it, but don't freak out about it, because I've heard people that if they don't track it, they act like it never happened, which is insane. You still worked out, even if your Apple Watch didn't log it. Like that shit doesn't make it, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't say
validate it.
Validate it. Yes. Like just because it's tracked doesn't mean that it's a better workout. Like you just happen to be able to look at some data that's also partially wrong because Apple Watches are off by calorie burn by 300 calories in either direction.
Yeah. So my biggest thing that I get from it is the weight that what I plug in.
Yeah.
So like if I do a lift and it's a certain weight, I can go back and see my progress that way.
Yeah, no,
and I can
that's
do
great.
it right from my Apple Watch versus trying to pick up my phone and deal with it.
No,
that
I mean
way
that's
in the
like that's a
timers.
journal. That's a journal. Like,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
fine. Like that. I mean, you can do that.
I put zero stock in the calories. Like so, I use my FitnessPal. So with my FitnessPal, it syncs with everything that I do on my Apple Watch, but it takes away those calories, so it makes you feel like you have more.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Can't do that.
Yeah, I still go with whatever my calorie goal is for the day. I don't subtract calories from it. Even if the app subtracts it, like I go, so I'm 2,500 calories. I need to be right now at 2,500 calories because I'm in maintenance.
That drives me nuts, man. I see people post about that all the time. Like,
I can still eat 300 more calories because I worked out there.
well, not even that.
And it's kinda
partially
true.
that. I mean, yeah, but it's just not a good idea.
Don't play that game.
Because it's wrong. Like it could just because it says you burned 300 doesn't mean you have 300 more to eat that day because that could mean it could actually just be 50.
Right.
And like I'll see people go to like a class at like at 45 or whatever, and then they'll screenshot their calorie burn and post on Instagram.
Treadmills
like,
are the worst.
Yeah, well, that's also the same thing. Your Apple Watch is a little bit more accurate than a treadmill because it has your heart rate.
Yeah.
But a treadmill it's made for the masses. Like it's as generic as it possibly could be.
The worst.
And then you'll see that too. People post pictures of like, oh, I burned 400 calories on the treadmill. It's like that is a guess. And so if that right there is what you're using to determine whether or not it was a good workout, you're lost.
Rip. Yeah, it's not great.
No.
So, yeah, I think anything else for today?
No, I don't think so.
That wasn't bad for off the cuff. We literally had no plan.
No, it was pretty solid for 57 minutes.
Yeah. So, with that, appreciate everybody. We're going to get back, like I said, to our regularly scheduled programming. I cannot
Maybe
say
next
regularly.
Weekend. Probably can't next weekend.
Yeah.
You're away, I'm away.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But we will still have constant content coming out. Will's going to get back to his daily vlogs. Just kidding.
I don't know about that.
But no, we'll definitely have more content coming out. Appreciate you guys that have stuck with us. We're still at 161. I think we only lost one subscriber along the way. So pretty solid. Thank you all for sticking with us. We're on our journey to 1,000 here on the channel. Obviously, I have my channel as well. We'll put our socials right here.
Tell your friends.
Yeah. Tell your kids. Tell your friends. Tell your family.
Be a friend, tell a friend.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Be a friend, tell a friend. So with that, Will, where can they find you?
Find me on... Man, I never remember.
He doesn't have his business cards.
I don't have my business cards.
We're going to throw them up right here. But
yeah, Instagram's the best one, at @willmarshall_1. And then my website is marshallfitnesstraining.com.
Yep. And then you can find me, as always, at MarkyD25 on Instagram, MarkyD17 on TikTok, and my YouTube channel, which is just my name, Mark Mikesell. So, again, we'll throw those up. But thanks for sticking around with us, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Deuces.